Welcome to Health Hacktivators with lifestyle medicine doctor, GP and longevity expert Dr. Alka Patel. This show will help you to discover a hidden health hacking code that unlocks your phenomenal potential for an outstanding health span, lifespan and wealth span. The show features candid conversations with celebrities, influencers and industry icons, real-life stories and cutting-edge health activating advice that other doctors might not tell you. Discover why now is the time to join the strategic self-care revolution and experience the profound effects this will have on your personal and professional success. Now, here is your host, Dr. Alka Patel.
Before we get into today's show, please do support today's show partner, Youth and Earth. Youth and Earth have a range of products that I love to use myself to supercharge my metabolism, to support my health, and to slow down cellular aging. Just be sure you click the link in the show notes for exclusive offers which Youth and Earth are so generously giving for listeners of this show. Hi, hey, and hello, Health Hacktivators. Who doesn't love a thrill? Whether you're watching a scary movie, cycling downhill hands-free, climbing mountains, or even finding a great deal for your next holiday, we all love a thrill. But why? What is it that keeps us chasing that rush of excitement? Well, today I'm diving into the world of adrenaline, that hormone that fuels our sensation-seeking behavior and gives us an adrenaline rush. So let's think about this adrenaline rush then. How does it start? Well, it starts off in the base of your brain in a part called the amygdala. Now, this is a part of your brain that is responsible for assessing the new and the unknown. So as soon as your amygdala detects that there's something going on with some kind of risk involved, then it triggers this surge of adrenaline so that you become hyper-focused on what is happening. And this adrenaline surge, well, this adrenaline rush, it's pretty much coded into our genes, into our nervous system. And this all comes back to the activity of our ancestors. Civilization, if you think back, civilization used to be very hunting focused. Hunting was necessary for survival. And survival was also accompanied by the thrill of the chase, the thrill of the kill, the thrill of finding food. And also trekking, fighting, killing. Well, it's also a pretty risky business when you're trying to fight large animals. So this is why this flight and fright response with the adrenaline surge, they're so entwined with risk, survival, and thrill. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed how risk, survival, and thrill are often intertwined? We all love a thrill because we're wired that way. We're genetically pre-modeled. But what about actively seeking this thrill? Why do some people yearn for that adrenaline surge, seek it out, whilst others don't? Why are some people adrenaline junkies? Well, look at the work of Marvin Zuckerman. Let's turn to this. He's a psychology professor, and he first began studying those seeking thrills back in the 1960s. So what types of people do seek out sensation, seek the adrenaline thrill? Well, it turns out that there are 4 types of sensation seekers. Number 1, people who are looking for adventure. Number 2, those who are looking for new experiences. Number 3, those who get bored easily. And number 4, those who are looking to lose their inhibitions. Any of these sound like you, perhaps? Think about that last adrenaline surge that you had. Why did you do it? That activity, why did you do it? Maybe you ran a 10K or a marathon. Maybe you stepped into an ice bath. Maybe you climbed a mountain, which, by the way, are all things that I've done. But why? Maybe you're wondering, what kind of thrill seeker are you? Well, here's the good news. You can find out. All based on Marvin Zuckerman's work, there's a research-backed questionnaire which is called the Sensation Seeking Scale. And that categorizes how you pursue sensation based on your personal tolerance for exhilaration. So I'll pop the link to the Sensation Seeker Scale in the show notes. So do take a look. You will find your results very interesting. Are you a high sensation seeker who actively spends time trying to find a thrill? Or are you a low sensation seeker who actively tries to avoid new experiences? Now, there's a few factors that have been found to affect this and influence this tolerance for exhilaration. That includes things like the amount of white matter and grey matter in your brain, as well as your genes and as well as the epigenetic imprint of your ancestors. There's also a few personality traits that point to you being a thrill seeker. So if you're someone who is creative, well, then you're more likely to be bored easily. So you're more likely to seek out new experiences. If you're someone with a curious streak, always wondering, wanting to grow, wanting to learn, then of course you're also more likely to want to try out new things. Or if you've got this drive to pursue challenge, and also if spontaneity and impulsivity are part of your characteristics. So now thinking about activities then, what sort of activities do thrill seekers undertake? Well, I've certainly interviewed several thrill seekers on this show. So what examples then come to mind? Well, skydiving comes to mind. Skydiving is often seen as the ultimate thrill, isn't it? And this is because everything in your body is trying to tell you that you are falling and most likely going to die. Falling through the sky at breakneck speeds directly after being thrown from a moving plane, it's thrilling, no matter how much the thought of it scares you, no matter how risky it feels. And even once the parachute opens and your descent slows down, your body is still full of adrenaline until you're safely back on the ground. Ask me how I know. And you know what? As soon as my feet touched the ground after falling 12,000 feet, my first words were, "Can I do that again?" That is the addiction to adrenaline. So what other activities? Well, extreme sports. Sometimes usual sports are just not enough of a thrill for some people, who instead then turn to extreme sports, life-risking sports. You heard me last week talking to Shelley Jory Lee last week, and she's really taking sports to another level, constantly being put in high adrenaline situations, feeling like you're at risk. What else? Well, unique hobbies can also fall under the category of sensation-seeking activities. Now, I'm not talking about bird watching or playing video games, which of course can be thrilling, but I'm talking about more unique hobbies. Something like storm chasing. Yep, people actually do this. This is where you actively seek out a large storm, a tornado or a hurricane, and you try to experience it up close. Remember, survival, risk, thrill, they go hand in hand. And the other thing then that adrenaline junkies will sometimes decide is that, well, seeking out thrills some of the time is not enough. So what they then do is hunt out thrill all of the time or most of the time. And the easiest way to do that is through their career. So high pressure jobs such as being a firefighter or being a soldier, they're examples of high thrill jobs because you can suddenly be plunged into a situation which is bound to get your adrenaline pumping. Here's an activity as well that most of you will be familiar with, a thrill-seeking activity, theme parks, right? The thrill of theme parks, it's something that most adrenaline seekers love. Even though you know you're safe, the exhilaration comes from experiencing a risk that you know you'll survive. Logic says you're safe, but the speed and the activity occur as warning signs for your body to activate your adrenaline response. So that's an activity that many will be familiar with. But here's an activity that I hope most of us are not familiar with. Crime. This one I do not recommend. But crime can be seen as a thrill-seeking activity. Even something like stealing a chocolate bar from a shop gives a surge of adrenaline. So what can we learn? What can we learn from sensation seekers who crave new and complex experiences, even when they're dangerous? Well, as I've already alluded to, the pursuit of adrenaline and the desire for thrilling experiences can be attributed to a combination of evolutionary, physiological, and psychological factors. And throughout human evolution, we've seen that seeking novel and potentially risky experiences is what has conferred an evolutionary advantage to us. It's what's led us to explore new environments, new lands. It's allowed us to acquire new resources and develop the skills necessary for survival, the skills to live longer. And all of this is fueled by your neurotransmitters and your hormones. So I've been talking about adrenaline, which is released by your adrenal glands in response to stress or excitement, and which then triggers your body's flight or fight response with an increase in your heart rate and your pupils dilating and blood flow being redirected to your essential muscles. And there's also other chemicals at play which are worth knowing about. Dopamine, your feel-good neurotransmitter, that's associated with reward and pleasure. So engaging in thrilling activities, it leads to this release of dopamine. It creates that sense of pleasure and satisfaction. And then there's also the release of endorphins. So these are your natural painkillers. They're released in response to physical or emotional stress, which do occur during thrilling experiences, and then result in this feeling of euphoria. And what all of this does is it also creates this sensory overload, exposing yourself to novel and intense sensory stimuli. This sensory overload results in heightened arousal and a sense of exhilaration. And then when you put all of this alongside psychological factors, the sensation-seeking theory that I've talked about, and also the flow state theory, where, well, this is where engaging in thrilling activities leads to a state of flow. This is characterized by this intense focus, this sense of timelessness, this complete immersion in your experience. You can see how putting all of this together, you can see how powerful this interplay of evolutionary and physiological and psychological factors is, as well as the contribution of social and cultural influences as well. So sensation seeking, it means that you're a lover of novelty and complexity and intensity. It means that you've got a willingness to take physical, social, and even legal and financial risks sometimes to achieve these experiences. Now, thrill seekers are not primarily motivated by danger, but instead they're driven by this desire to conquer challenges and to embrace what life has to offer. Back to those four components of sensation seeking, which are a natural inclination for adventure and risk, an affinity for varied and novel sensations, a tendency for disinhibition and unrestrained activity, and a susceptibility to boredom. And I think here it's important as well to distinguish sensation seeking from risk taking. Sensation seeking is all about this pursuit of new and intense experiences, where those associated risks might get disregarded in favor of novelty instead. So then what are the advantages? What are the advantages, the benefits of sensation seeking? Well, this pursuit of unique experiences can lead to joy and fulfillment and everlasting memories. It also results in proactive problem solving with this willingness to face challenging situations head on. Engaging in thrilling activities, well, it can also instill confidence, expand your comfort zone, build this fortitude within you in the face of future obstacles. And it means that you view stressors as opportunities for growth rather than threats. Ultimately, being a sensation seeker can give you this sense of accomplishment, along with, well, reduced stress and this greater life satisfaction. And interestingly, what research also suggests is that excitement and adrenaline, it can also enhance attraction amongst strangers. It can increase affection amongst couples. Engaging in adventurous, spontaneous experiences might be just what contributes to more deeper emotional connections and emotional bonding as well. So what should you do? Well, look, firstly, maybe find out what kind of sensation seeker you are. Take the sensation seeking test. It's in the show notes. Just get to know yourself more. And then why not try out an adrenaline surging activity? Doesn't have to be anything extreme at all. Rolling down a hill with the kids, whatever you choose, just feel it and enjoy that adrenaline surge. And yeah, of course, look, having adrenaline pumping around your arteries, it can be exhilarating and enjoyable, but it may also come with risks. So if you are going to up that surge, up that danger level of the experience that you're seeking, then just remember any extreme or more dangerous activities can have potential risks. So always safety first, please. So whether you find your thrill then in the sky or in the water or even in a storm, just remember that seeking that rush is all about embracing the excitement that life has to offer. Just be sure to do it safely. I wish you a thrilling, health-activating day.